Up next is a spotlight on choice. Please welcome to the stage Autumn and Milk for a special musical performance.
That was amazing. We want to dedicate this to all the women who are moving forward and won't go back.
All our allies, and we're very excited because one of the Janes, Judith, is backstage, and this song was very much inspired by the work that she and her colleagues have done.
My body is a revolution. What I do should be my own choosing. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. We honor those who fought before us. They give us strength as we push forward. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. Hey! We are the voices. We are the truth. 'Cause we make the future. Hey! We are the voices. We are the truth. We won't go back. We won't. 'Cause we make the future. Your good old days are an illusion. Nothing you do can stop the movement. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. I am human, I am sacred. More than a vessel of your making. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go back. Hey! We are the voices. We are the truth. We make the future. Hey! We are the voices. We are the truth. We won't go back. We won't. 'Cause we make the future. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go. 'Cause we make the future. Sing along, sing along. We won't go back. Yeah. We won't go back. We won't go. 'Cause we make the future. One last time, come on, let us hear you. We won't go back. We won't go back. We won't go. 'Cause we make the future. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage from the Janes, Emma Pildes, co-director, and Judith Arcana, abortion activist, along with Dr. Deshawn Taylor of the Desert Star Family Planning, and our moderator, actress and activist Jodie Sweeten.
There we go. Hi! Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this really incredible panel today. I am so honored to be sitting here with these three incredible women. And we are talking about the movie The Janes, which if you've not seen, it's on HBO Max right now. It is impactful, incredible. I was sitting there watching it, crying, texting my mom, texting my friends, like, you have to watch this. Oh my God, what these women did. And I'm just so honored to be here today. So I would love to get to talk about this. What inspired you to make this movie now? Was it sort of where the political scene was going, or did this happen before and it just so happened that sort of the timing was what it was?
Yeah, I mean, the timing was pretty remarkable and unfortunate. And so it was sort of a combination. I mean, the writing was on the wall and had been. You know, they started chipping away at Roe almost immediately, so for the last 50 years. But it was still stunning, and nobody quite believed it. So Daniel Arcana, one of the producers, started developing this when Trump got into office, and everything got a little bit scarier. And, you know, as we went through, me and my co-director, Tia Lesson, we sort of watched as dominoes fell and then premiered the film in June, just after the leak. So the timing was remarkable, but it was all sort of there for us to see. I mean, it's been a struggle for a long time. So we just kind of felt like, as filmmakers, this is about doing what you can. That's what activism is, and so this is what we could contribute.
And the story of the Janes is so important because it's a story of activist women helping other women. And Judith, you were one of the Janes, and you were in the movie and talking about your experience, and I have, as I said when I first met you, I have so much admiration for you. Like, I was sitting there watching the movie, and I was like, I would have been one of them. I was like, I like these ladies. I could hang out with them.
You're going to have a chance.
Yes, yes,
Don't
yes.
you worry.
I know, and I want to hear about what that experience has been like for you, not only while you were one of the Janes years ago, but what you've carried with you from that experience today.
First, I have to say this in honor of one of my sister Janes, who in the film, those of you who've seen it, is named Peaches. Some years back, just like you, Jody, I used the past tense. And she said, no, once a Jane, always a Jane. And ever since she said that to me, I'm a first person. Yes, I'm a Jane.
Yeah.
So that was quite a moment.
Yeah, you are.
That was quite a moment. However, when I joined the service, I was 27 years old, and I'm notably older than that now. And I joined out of what was going on actually in the nation, I think, as well as in my life, this rising tide of consciousness and the overt and deliberate choices, we use that word a lot, choices to take action in a variety of circumstances, in our case, around abortion health care. So that's one thing in response to your question, Jody. And another is that I'm a person who's had an abortion. I'm a mother who had a baby on purpose. The aforementioned Daniel Arcana, my son, who actually, as Emma just said, is the person who had the idea originally for this film. And it seems that in many ways, my life has been, what should I say, entangled?
An entanglement, yes.
In Jane work. And the last thing I'll say, because we don't have a whole lot of time, is that I think we need to consider what law is and what law means. So that when people say to us, how could you break the law, or weren't you afraid about breaking the law, there's a whole lot of thinking and major conversation that goes with that.
Yes.
So,
As Heather says in the film, unjust laws need to be broken.
Right.
yeah.
And those of us in the activist community say that often.
Because it's true.
Because it's very true. It's very true. Now, Dr. Taylor, you run a family planning clinic in Arizona, which I'm sure is not an easy task right now. I would love to hear what your experience has been over the past few years in seeing things being chipped away at women's health care, at abortion, at reproductive rights, and sort of what the response it has been amongst abortion care providers and how we can help those in abortion hostile states. That was a lot of questions, but I...
No, yeah, I talk about this a lot, so I can cover all of that.
Great.
So I was born, raised, and trained in Los Angeles. And when I was here in California, I was one of over 600 abortion providers. In Arizona, I am one of maybe 15 now on the record. And so definitely understanding how the work that I particularly as an individual am doing is not lost. I moved to Arizona in 2009, and that was the first year a whole suite of the first sweeping restrictions started to take hold in Arizona. And every year since 2009, there's been a new abortion restriction signed into law except for 1 year, and it's 2022 now. And so there was this total abortion ban on the books from before Arizona was a state. And once Roe v. Wade was overturned, then that law came into play. So it was very different in Arizona compared to some of the other states that had outright trigger bans.
Right.
Because there were several laws on the books that were conflicting and held criminal penalties, jail time, felonies for providers specifically.
Right.
And so there was a moment where most providers in Arizona did pause and kind of wait. We wanted the Attorney General to let us know, what are we supposed to be doing here? We essentially self-imposed a ban on ourselves, even though abortion was still legal in our state, because of the fear of criminalization.
Yeah.
Because the way that laws are written are very poor.
Right.
And so you can have like a rogue attorney decide they want to make a point.
Right.
And
There's always a
whether it
loophole.
ultimately gets thrown out in court doesn't matter. You've lost your
It's
livelihood trying to fight it, right?
Right.
And so that was a chilling effect. And so we've had a lot of back and forth. There was a couple of weeks in Arizona where abortion was illegal. And now we're operating under a 15-week ban.
Okay.
And I always want people to understand, like, our governor was really smug in his press conference after signing that law that, well, most abortions occur before 15 weeks anyway. Now, that is a true statement.
Was it a man that said that? Just question.
Was it what?
Was it a dude?
Oh,
okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure. I always feel like they weigh
not
in on a
gonna-
lot of these things.
I'm not going to say what we call him behind closed doors.
No offense to any awesome men that are in this audience who are obviously supporting, but yeah.
But his name is Ducey, so you can extrapolate.
Oh, well. That's unfortunate for him. But
Yeah, so it is, I want people to understand how easy it is for someone to need an abortion after 15 weeks, especially in a state that's hostile to abortion care, and there's a lot of hoops that people have to jump through. So imagine that, it's a hard time to be alive right now. COVID is still real. People have lost jobs. Some states are teetering on, we claim there's a recession coming, who knows, I don't know. But people are becoming poorer and sicker.
Right.
And so you're working, you're not thinking about it, and you look up, you're like, oh my God, where's my period? Say it was 9 weeks ago, right? And so now, with all the restrictions, abortion clinics close, right? And so now you have to find a clinic to get into to get that first visit. And, say the next availability is 2 to 3 weeks out. Okay, now you're already 11 or 12 weeks.
Yep.
Arizona has a forced 24-hour wait.
Yep.
How likely is it really that you're going to be able to get in the very next day to get your abortion? So say you're at 12 weeks now, and the next appointment is 2 to 3 weeks out. Well, the 2 weeks, you're just making it. Last week, I just had someone who just made it. And then also last week, I had 3 people who did it. Right. So that's how easy it is to.
Yeah.
So when we create these bans, somebody is always going to fall on the other side of that.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
And so for a time, there is an organization called Abortion Care Network.
Yes.
And Abortion Care Network is a membership organization for independent abortion clinics like mine, Desert Star Family Planning in Phoenix, Arizona. And they have a grant called Keep Our Clinics, KOC. And I believe it's keepourclinics.org. And people have been donating, they have been donating millions of dollars to be able to help clinics stay open.
One of the things that you and I were talking about that is really important, and I think, people obviously when they think of reproductive care, the first thing that comes up is Planned Parenthood, and they think because it's, a national organization, and Planned Parenthood does great work, and I am not saying anything bad about that, but clinics like yours, small clinics, independent clinics are those that are providing care and services that are probably the most at risk for going away, and often those are ones in rural communities where those women can't get anywhere else. So the Abortion Care Network and Keep Our Clinics, if you guys, koc.org, I believe you said, if you can, go check that out, because we need to help keep independent clinics like these, because some women have no other options and cannot travel, like you said, so.
Yeah, and many times independent clinics are the only clinics still providing in a state.
Right.
And then also, we are the clinics that are generally fighting the legal challenges, like the Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. That was an independent clinic that took the state to court. And independent clinics like mine provide the majority of care in the second trimester and later abortion, which was the case for my clinic. So I want to thank TheWrap for giving the opportunity to fundraise for my clinic, because with all of the back and forth with the laws in our state, it's destabilized my clinic. Several independent clinics have already closed.
Yeah.
There are 14 states in this country right now that don't have an abortion provider. And I'm committed to keeping my clinic open, but one thing that I realized is that the majority of the care that my clinic provided was second trimester and later abortion care. So the impact of the 15-week ban is extremely significant for my clinic particularly.
Yeah, you know, one of the things when I was watching the Janes that was discussed was the exorbitant cost, and that this has always been, in some ways, a class issue, that it will always affect those in poverty, those who can't afford, those who, you know, and even the ones who could afford it. In the movie, it was like, you know, in the 60s, what was it, $1,000 or something? That was the Chevy, the Cadillac, or the whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like, Judith, when you were in it? I as that experience, how did that light that fire for you?
Well, it definitely, we were in flames a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Jane's in
I get that.
Yes. But here's what was really lucky, if not to say outright cool, when we were working with guys, and they were, of course, no surprise, all guys, they charged an enormous amount of money. When we ultimately learned how to do abortions ourselves, and even our wonderful teacher, who was really just an excellent abortionist, when he moved out of town, we said, okay, here's the price, $100 or whatever you can afford. And that meant for some people, $9.
Yeah.
$63. In one film that I've seen, one of the Janes talks about a woman who came with a little bag filled with nickels. There's a lot of people that don't have a lot of money in this country. What a surprise, right? And so we were able to deal, partly because it's a tenet of capitalism, after all. There were so many people who needed this abortion care that even the ones who paid $9 were funding the other ones who came.
Right, it was sort of a co-op, almost, pooling of the money. I mean, in a way, but pooling the money, and that was it, and that's how it, and you know, that's really what it takes. And this movie was such an incredible example of, you know, I walked away from it and I felt so damn proud as a woman, as an activist, as someone in this fight, and you had such an amazing ability in this movie to weave in the stories of the individual Janes along with what this overarching saga of fear for so many women. And it was really beautiful. That's not a question in that. I love the movie, and it was just, I just had to tell you.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're incredible women that we were able to, I mean, these women are deeply moral people that wanted to, you know, we wanted to tell a story, you know, we wanted to sound the alarm, right? Because, you know, what was happening was really scary, but we also wanted to remind people, you know, the power of collective action and your own personal power to affect change in the world.
Do you think, either Dr. Taylor or all three of you, do you think that this is something that will start happening again? Do you think that the Janes will be, I mean, I'm sure as a doctor you don't want to think of people doing this outside medical facilities, but at the same time, is this where we're at?
Yes.
It is.
We've been here.
Yeah.
People have been self-managing their abortions for some time.
Right. And now they're coming after medicated abortions. They're trying to pull an FDA thing on one of them, I believe.
Yeah, so I personally have gone through a transformation in my life from an academic physician, rights-based framework to a justice framework. So I spend a lot of time in community. And so there are people in the community who are helping people have abortions, and that's been happening.
Great.
And honestly, it is safe. Like, post-Roe doesn't look the same as pre-Roe, for sure, in terms of people's ability to get themselves an abortion.
Right.
But what's a problem is that when something goes wrong,
Right.
the fear of getting help. Right.
I have to say, when I watched the movie, and when they brought up the term septic abortion wing, or whatever, septic abortion ward, I was
Yeah.
like, what? They obviously see that this is a huge problem and women are dying.
Yeah.
And that was just like, well, let's just establish a ward to send them to when they're.
And just to be clear, those wards became obsolete within a year of Roe passing.
Yeah.
So that's something that we created.
Yeah.
And then no longer needed when we were,
Right.
treating this basic health care the way that it should be. So as far as things coming back around, I would not be shocked if there was a need for septic abortion
Oh, of
wards.
course there
Yeah,
is.
Again, quite
Yeah,
soon.
they're putting them together.
Well, what's happening is that abortion bans harm all pregnant people because there's so many things that could potentially happen early in pregnancy.
Yeah.
People can have miscarriages, people can have pregnancies outside of the uterus, which are called ectopic pregnancies.
Yep.
And what we're seeing there, it's been sensational news, and so people, have probably started to get used to this sensational news, but it is not normal for someone to be in a hospital waiting until a critical level before they get basic health care. Like, we're waiting for people to rupture ectopic pregnancies in their tubes. We're waiting for people to continue to bleed to the point where they need blood transfusions before we empty their uterus for a miscarriage. Like, this is how what's happening with abortion is impacting people who aren't even seeking abortion care.
Right.
They're just pregnant and seeking general basic medical care to
Healthcare.
keep themselves healthy and safe.
Right, because abortion is healthcare. And you guys did such a wonderful job of reminding people of that in this movie, that it is, it's not a choice, it's a healthcare, it's a healthcare need, it's a healthcare right. And I am astounded that 14 states, I can't believe it's that many, 14 states do not have any access to abortion. I want to thank you all so much for what you do and for coming today. I am so honored to be here with you guys, and I just, everything you've said has been incredible and magical and wonderful. So my hat is off to you women as activists and as powerful, powerful female leaders. May we be them, may we raise them, and may we encourage the others to be them. So thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate it.